A Valorant player impersonated FaZe Clan's Valorant manager in order to trick his former teammates into signing up for what they thought was a golden opportunity to become FaZe's academy team in Valorant. They put in over a month of work into a fake trial, sometimes pulling 10-hour days of scrims and practice. They turned down legitimate offers from other orgs, thinking they were getting the opportunity of a lifetime to play for FaZe. Except there was no team. There was no offer. The whole thing was a lie. Well guys, I've done a lot of these cheater/scam videos recently on this channel, and like me, you might be feeling like you don't know who to trust out there in the world anymore. Well, you can trust us here at theScore Esports. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, that way you'll never miss a video just like this one. It's that easy. The story begins on May 21st of this year, when Valorant player and coach T-Dog was approached by one of his friends, A77, who was part of a team of aspiring Valorant pro players. They wanted to make it big. The group had skills and talent, but they told T-Dog that they wanted him to coach them for a huge opportunity they had recently been offered. The huge opportunity was that this roster was secretly trialing to become FaZe Clan's minor league or academy roster in Valorant. Now, there's no fully built out academy system in Valorant yet, of course, but young talent always needs to be developed. Naturally, T-Dog was interested. I mean, this is FaZe Clan, as in, well, FaZe Clan. Becoming a part of this team could propel an aspiring player or coach to the very top of the scene. But this particular dream was too good to be true. Now, if you were in their shoes, you might be asking for proof at this point. Well, the proof was provided to them by one of the players on the team, Joseph Silent Oliver. Silent showed T-Dog something that had already convinced the other players that this was a real offer from FaZe. Screenshots of DMs between himself and Infamous, FaZe Clan's Valorant manager. The screenshots were of direct messages, apparently from Infamous, which explained that the org was looking for a semi-established team to work with, quote, behind the scenes. Now, I can't really get much further into the video without pointing out what you might have already guessed by now, that these DMs were faked. Infamous really is FaZe Clan's Valorant manager, but these messages absolutely did not come from him. Infamous had never spoken to Silent. Silent had faked the initial conversation and then continued to do so in order to string his team along. In the screenshots, the fake Infamous went on to explain that Silent should get back to him when he has a team of 5 players that have some experience under their belts, at which point he would spread the word around FaZe Clan's management to keep an eye on them. Right, before we delve too far down the rabbit hole here, let's quickly talk about the motive for this scam. Why would Silent do this? Well, in the fake DMs, Silent talked about one of his friends who was playing semi-pro CSGO in the MDL, who, according to Silent, felt like he was, quote, wasting his time playing CSGO and that he could make a bigger impact in Valorant. For those of you that don't know, the MDL, or Mountain Dew League, is a tier 2 CSGO league. It's not the absolute pinnacle of the game, but it's a big deal for aspiring CS pros. The MDL player that Silent was referring to was Vic, who'd been a long-time friend of his. To put it simply, Vic was kinda on the fence. Sure, he was enjoying his time in Valorant, but he still had one foot in CSGO. Now, I spoke to T-Dog, and according to him, Silent didn't want his talented friend to drop Valorant altogether and focus solely on CSGO.
Valorant was just a side thing for Vic. He didn't actually want to do it, but Silent knew how good he was. And what he ended up saying was, I don't know if this is a word-for-word quote, but I remember reading what he ended up saying was he initially had no bad intentions with this. He just wanted some leverage to get Vic to come over to Valorant because he knew how good he would be.
So it appears this whole scam was due to Silent's fixation with Vic, the star player who was somewhat on the fence about which game he wanted to pursue. But Silent knew that without him, he wouldn't make it very far in Valorant at all. According to T-Dog, this isn't the first time that Silent's friendship with Vic had taken on a bit of a creepy nature.
When this game originally came out, Silent would impersonate Vic. He would send Vic's stats and ESEA profile to people on Valorant, trying to get them to play with him in tournaments and all this other stuff. Just impersonating him, saying, hey, that's me, because nobody knows, right? You know, Vic didn't play Valorant at the time. As far as they know, you know, it's just Silent's ESEA account with a different name. You know, that's all he has to say, right?
So we've got Silent with this long time fixation on Vic. We've got T-Dog being brought in to coach the team, and we've got everyone being strung along by these fake DMs between Silent and FaZe's Valorant manager, Infamous. And every time the team raised any sort of suspicion, Silent would produce another fake DM between him and Infamous. Silent told the fake Infamous, which again was also Silent, that his team are unsure about whether to commit to the grind and that they're worrying about being f***ed over. The fake Infamous then conveniently encourages them to keep going and even hints at a contract in the near future. This would put their concerns to rest for the time being, and they would get back to the grind, scrimming, practicing, reviewing. They put in some serious hours to chase their goal.
We'd scrim around 4 hours each day, which I would have to schedule. That's what I have to do beforehand. Usually while I'm streaming, I'd kind of have to do that at the same time. Then after that, I would go over the VOD of us scrimming, you know, explaining what we did wrong, what we can do better, what we need to focus on. And then after that, usually me and A77 or me and anybody left over would VOD review after that. So again, we're talking like, at least on my end, like I'd say probably, you know, close to 10 hours of investment a day.
By this point, T-Dog and the others had gone all in on this. They had individually received, delayed, or even rejected offers from other Valorant teams. Vic had stepped away from his CSGO contract. They had put all their chips on this opportunity. According to T-Dog, Silent had told them that FaZe would offer $6,000 to $8,000 a month per player and $5,000 a month for a coach. Now, even though the players were going along with all of this, these offers were still hypothetical. Some of them just wanted to speak to Infamous directly before going any further. But every time they asked if they could talk to him, Silent would shut them down, saying that Infamous wanted to, quote, limit contact to just Silent unless it was urgent.
He called himself the Connection. That's what he titled himself. So everything that we heard about FaZe and all that, all the updates were through him only. We wouldn't get it from anybody else, it'd be him. And, you know, now we know it because he'd have to write up the messages himself.
Another fake DM was provided in which Infamous apparently said that although FaZe was still fixed on them becoming their new academy team, they wanted more time to watch them develop before signing them. T-Dog told me that he and the others weren't just frustrated with Silent's secrecy, he also wasn't playing well in-game either. Like at all. Silent himself seemed to know this, and remember, according to T-Dog, he started all of this to try and latch on to Vic's success. He then offered to bench himself in order to give them the best chance of getting the contract. Just think about that. He offered to bench himself for a contract that he was faking. But while he seemed content to criticize himself, he wasn't prepared to take it from anyone else. When A77 raised concerns about Silent's performance, Silent used another fake DM from Infamous to try and get him removed from the team.
So he writes up a fake DM from Infamous that night, explaining how Infamous watched the VODs, A77 is toxic, he's a problem, he needs to go, and Silent tried to get him gone that night. It was crazy. You know, we end up all getting in a call, you know, I'm trying to calm everybody down, you know, Aiden's, you know, freaking out a little bit, you know, Silent is just like explaining like what's going on, Aiden's saying like, you have to stop this, man, you know, you can't just cut me off the team like that.
So not only was Silent stringing everyone along with this web of lies, he was trying to get those that opposed him removed from the fake offer altogether. Despite the craziness reaching an absurd level, the team continued to grind day in, day out for 2 more weeks. Then one morning, T-Dog woke up to a message from Silent saying that Infamous had heard there had been leaks, that there was talk of FaZe signing them going around the community, and that this wasn't supposed to happen. The team was shocked because they hadn't talked to anyone in the community about this. It looked like their hard work was about to come crashing down, that they were about to lose the opportunity of a lifetime. Silent had told them, again, to not message Infamous about this in case he pulled the plug on the whole thing, but they had had enough. It was then that T-Dog decided to take things into his own hands.
We decided together, we're like, listen, we just need to DM Infamous right now. Travis, you're the one who has the contact, just go ahead and message him. So I was being very vague. I was like, hey, Infamous, I'm coaching your project roster right now, this and that, this and that. And he's like, project? What do you mean by that? And he's like, the one with Silent on it, I'm trying to be like vague, keep it nonchalant, like I don't know much. And he's like, I'm not following along, could you specify more? And I'm like, no, this isn't happening, right? I ended up going full blatant. I'm like, yeah, Silent told us about FaZe Academy Valorant. He's been talking to you for weeks and weeks, months and months. Like, we're supposed to be talking to you this weekend about, the next step. He's like, yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I was like, wow, there it is.
The penny hadn't just dropped, it had smashed through the floor. Some were shocked, some were upset, others were mad as hell. It had all been a lie. Now eventually, T-Dog made a video on all of this in which he says that this whole leak thing from Silent may have been an attempt by him to pull the plug on the whole operation. Perhaps he hoped his team would just leave it and walk away with no more questions. Silent deleted his Twitter. He blocked T-Dog and the other players and kicked them from their Discord server. Silent then sent T-Dog a Snapchat in which he apologized for everything. He admitted that he did it to keep Vic from switching to Valorant. He said that he knew FaZe would never pick them up, but that he hoped they'd find another org if they just stuck together.
I respect him for, not running away with his tail tucked, trying to hide. At least he did say something, it wasn't that good of an apology, I don't think he could have made a good apology in the situation he was in, you know what I mean? But at least he said it, he stated why he did it. He understands, how bad it was and how messed up it was. And I just hope that he learns from this, we can use this as a learning experience for ourselves, himself, and anyone watching or listening, that again, this is like a very real thing. And it happens probably often. Despite
the shit show, T-Dog says that they still got something out of this. Sure, they're wiser about this kind of thing now, but they also improved as players, as coaches, as a team. They still want to take their hard work and get picked up by an org one day. But hey, at least they didn't spend thousands on a new computer or move home for this opportunity. It could have been a lot worse. The real Infamous tweeted out in support of the victim, saying, "This Silent kid is an absolute creature. Don't let him anywhere near anything you're doing. I feel so bad for this team. Manipulated and lied to for months by a guy pretending to be me. Just disgusting behavior. Guy's a complete sociopath." As for Silent himself, T-Dog said that apart from that apology, they've heard nothing else from him, and they aren't sure if they ever will. It's a shocking story, but it's also a pretty sad one. It might be easy for anyone outside of this situation to say that they would never fall prey to something like this, but put yourself in their shoes. They had a dream and a friend who said he knew how to get them there.
Now, I would actually reassure him. I would say, Aiden, all this stuff that you're talking about, yeah, sure, it makes sense. Obviously, it's sketchy that he's the only one talking about it, that we haven't talked to Infamous yet. But who would do this? How is this a possibility? What does he get out of faking that he's FaZe, What if this is fake? He's just, his name's just gonna get, he's gonna get taken off the face of the earth, when it comes to online, he's never gonna show himself again. And, that was the thing that, kept spinning in the back of my head. This can't be fake. Who would fake this, right? And again, I just still can't believe that he pulled something like this off. It's crazy.
It's mental. It's actually, I'll bench myself, lads. Go on. You go on without me. Good luck with the fake contract that I'm literally fabricating in your DMs. Good luck. Best of luck. I'll do the honourable thing.